So I will try my best here. All right. Who am I and why am I here? So my name's Jeremy Lavender. I've been in the photography industry for about 20 years. I've been running my business now, entering the 10th year. I'm also a full-time employee at the Treadwell Ice Arena. I've been doing that for about 12 years. Why the Audubon Society? Well, this is the second year I was offered an opportunity, and I figured I'd go for it this year. And, I like birds, and we've got some great ones here. I am not I'm not a speaker. This is my first presentation, so please bear with me. I've got my notes here, so as far as this presentation and the rest of my life, that kind of goes with the title. I'm mostly winging it here. I'm going to talk a little bit about some trips I've been on, and mostly just share a bunch of photos, talk a little bit about myself in the beginning here. I am a novice bird identifier, and I've just recently kind of getting into it. So if I'm completely wrong on something I identify, please correct me. Also, if you have any questions, please just feel free to ask, and I'll do the best I can to answer and or talk my way out of it. So, all right, well, here we go. I was born and raised in Anchorage. I'm a fifth generation Alaskan. I grew up playing hockey and snowboarding. That's not me, that's actually my wife snowboarding there. That's me playing hockey though. That was 96, I believe. Fishing on the Kenai was another big one. My family had property. Was very fortunate there. I think the first time I was ever fishing on the Kenai was about 5 weeks old on the back of my parents. These again are both my wife taking care of business there. Let's see. Grew up skateboarding. Started about in middle school, probably. That's kind of what got me into cameras, really, is we were in high school, started kind of just filming ourselves and kind of realized I wasn't good enough to go pro. So I started taking pictures of other people and filming other people. In 2002 was my senior year in high school. Took a photo and video class, but again, kind of just goofing off with my friends. We were already filming a video project, so we just were like, well, just take video and then goof off all day and then present the video we're already making. So, I again thought I was going to be a professional skateboarder, so school didn't matter to me at that point. But in 2004, I got a job at Kit's Camera in the Diamond Center, and that's really when photography started kind of taking off for me. This was right around the turn of digital, so we still did a lot of film. And let's see where we at. So in like 2005, I moved to California for about a year. Continued working with Kits and Ritz through several locations. I want to say 5 different stores throughout the Orange County area. And my final store, I was actually the lab manager, which meant I took care of all the equipment for all the film processing and printing, which back then when everyone did all that still, it was quite the task. So every month we'd have to clean out the machines and clean up the chemicals, and a lot of fun. And then around 2005, I want to say, moved back to Anchorage and continued working at Kits in the Fifth Avenue Mall and running that lab there. And then we had our location was downtown Anchorage, so a lot of the tourists in the summertime would come there to get their film developed, recollect their film to continue on their trips. And so we sold 10 packs of film for like $11, and there was a sales competition through Fuji throughout the nation to see who could sell the most film. And actually 2 people in my store won, including myself. And so we actually won a DSLR Fuji S3 Pros. And so that was again, that really started taking off my photography career there. So I started doing senior photos, random gigs. I had a lot of friends that were in bands, so I'd shoot their bands while playing and stuff, and that led to bigger, more national bands. Nothing really too big, but it was certainly a lot of fun. Then that got me kind of back into skateboarding and snowboarding, but kind of doing urban stuff, which is like street stuff. Around towards the end, Kit's Camera probably closed in 2009, 2010 or so. Around then, I met my wife, my current wife now. 2010, I come to Juneau for the first time. I'm here visiting friends, snowboarding. Well, that was the plan. This was end of January, early February 2010. Made lots of new friends. Just kind of fell in love with the whole community overall and the beauty of the place. Growing up in a growing up in a big city, the big city Anchorage, and then coming here, it was just much more my pace, I'd say. And then of course, Eagle Crest. Growing up, riding Alyeska all the time, it just turned into like a big resort, and I just didn't like it. So coming here and meeting all the friends, all my current friends now, and just the community up there, on top of the community down at sea level, just really, everything just kind of clicked for me. And then in August of that same year, we packed up and moved to Juneau. In 2011, we adopted Alyeska here from Anchorage. She was a great pup there. But of course, we come back to Juneau with a pup, and it's hard to find rental housing. So we ended up living on the MV Challenger for a little bit with the Miles family back when they were here in Juneau, Lisa and Tim Miles. They were living on it also, and they were graceful enough to let us live in a cabin of theirs. So the three of us lived in the cabin there. Late 2011, I got a job at the ice rink, and that's where I still am today. That's got me into a lot of hockey photos. I've started working with the high school team now. I've been doing their team photos for a while. So that's been great. 2015, I officially started my brand, I guess you'd say. Lavender Peaks Photography, that's me. Sorry, here, let me find my spot in my notes. Cruising through here. All right. 2010, we adopt Aspen. She's a English Springer Spaniel. 2021, we get married. Thanks, Spencer, for the photo. And then in 2022, we adopt Lupin. He's a half English Springer, half Australian Shepherd. So Allie and Lupin were both, Allie and Aspen were both rescues. Lupin was kind of a rescue. He was from a oopsie litter in Sacramento, and they're having a hard time finding a forever home for him. And so we just fell in love and flew down and got him and brought him home. And now he and Aspen are a bonded pair, and it's pretty freaking adorable. So just go through some photos now of some just various places throughout the Tongass, kind of local. I'm sure many of you have been to all of these places a few times. Haines, of course, Fort Seward, the reflecting pool. Just an iconic spot to stop in Haines and take a photo, really. And we do a lot of camping in Haines. Brewfest, of course. Been to the fair a bunch. This last July was the first time I actually went fishing in Haines, so that was fun. Didn't do so good, but I don't think anybody else was really doing that good, so I didn't feel too bad. Here's just a panorama, the same kind of spot. This is the Kahini River. One of we kind of took a logging road, or just some road off the highway, and found a spot to camp next to the river. And so just kind of took a photo while the sun was going down. That actually inspired a fictional short story I wrote on my blog. I'm not going to read it now or anything. If you're interested, you can find it on the internet. Birds. We've got to have bird photos, right? So these two are from my feeder in the backyard, actually. Female and male rufos. Hope I said that right. Wrong button. There we go. A couple of Canadian geese at the pond out at Outer Point. Oh, where are we? There we go. Eagle, of course. You know, they're everywhere. Pair of pigeon guillemots. Guillemots, I think. I had to look that up to get the how to say that correctly earlier today. So I hope I nailed that. Thank you. All right, Ketchikan. I've only been there once. These are some of the photos from the one time I've been there. Creek Street, of course, I thought was pretty cool. Also, kind of sad. I'm in right there. Just kind of how we're overtaking everything. That was kind of a bummer, but nice old Jeep kind of getting absorbed into the jungle. Of course, Dolly's there on the Creek Street boardwalk, and got a big old dog kind of people watching. Something I noticed a lot in Ketchikan was you had a lot of older kind of dilapidated buildings, but then you got the, I don't want to say nicer buildings, but the a little more advanced buildings there. The juxtaposition there really kind of stuck with me on that one. More Creek Street, and then my wife hanging out. This is Ketchikan Creek. When you're on the Creek Street boardwalk, this is the creek that's running through there. This is taken from behind the museum. Definitely go to the museum if you're ever in Ketchikan. This is looking the other way. That's the end of the boardwalk there on Creek Street. Those are both longer exposures. Currently I have a Nikon Z6 II. It's a mirrorless. These may have been taken with Nikon D3S. I think it was before I had my mirrorless. These ones here. Some more birds. So the downy, that's actually in my backyard, or behind my house, I should say. And blue heron there out at Fish Creek. All right. So just some of my favorite spots here in Juneau. This is I want to say maybe a 5-shot panorama that I stitched together there. But this is one of my favorite spots. I just go here for on my lunch break really and just read or take photos if I see something I like, but pretty peaceful spot. Also just one of my favorite photos. This one was in the Professional Photographers of America. This was awarded Image Excellence Award. It was my first image that did that. So it's another one of my absolute favorites. I have this one on metal. Nice big metal print. It looks awesome. That is just on one of the beaches on North Douglas, just kind of near the boat launch there. Oh, good question. 2020 or 2021, I want to say. That was 200 millimeters. So probably my 70 to 200, I'd say. Handheld. But it was a bright day, so handheld made it pretty easy. Thank you. It's the first time I've seen it like this big on this screen, so it's I can't get enough of it either. I really enjoy it.
If it doesn't have a bird.
Yeah, thank you. hmm this one maybe about that big. Um, yeah, it's again it was a nice bright day, so I could use a faster shutter to kind of get the light I wanted. So handheld isn't really an issue at that point. Um, but like this one, for instance, this one had to be on a tripod with a wider lens to get the motion there in the water. So it's a little bit of a slower shutter, maybe about a second, maybe 3/4 of a second. And that was a nice stormy day out South Douglas. And then Outer Point is one of our favorite spots. Take the dogs out there all the time and just camp out there. We just like being out there. It's a beautiful spot. And so it's Shaman Island on the right there. And then if you're familiar with Outer Point, this is basically the trailhead there, looking towards the end of Douglas Highway. This is a photo I've been wanting to get for a long time, but of course, to get the mountains in the back, you need the right weather and all that, plus the time of day, so you can see kind of the lights lower. So the sun's on its way down, but not quite down yet. So everything kind of worked out on that one. Another eagle. Fairly young, I'd say, based on the plumage underneath there. But a little dirty. That one, that's an older one too. I really enjoy this photo. This is Auk Lake. It's a water lily on Auk Lake. But again, due to the sun being so bright and direct on it, it'll allow a much faster shutter to get the nice deep black and the detail in the lily itself. That's another one that looks really great on metal. This one isn't mine. My wife took this photo, but I had to share it. If you've seen the jar calendars this year, this was the cover. But that's Lupin. That's our puppy there. Well, he's almost 2 now, but let's see. So that was my first Milky Way photo. I want to say that was out at Outer Point. Had to plan that one out actually. I want to say it was maybe just a couple seconds. I'd have to go back and look because I know the last time I went and tried it, I messed up completely and had to rethink of what I did for this one. And I'm pretty certain it was a shorter shutter speed, but a higher ISO. And that's one of the advantages of like a mirrorless camera is it's going to allow for a higher ISO but keep the detail. And that one, no. I did not know. That's a single image. And this is on the right there. That's out Pioneer Road, just a creek, random creek on Pioneer Road. I didn't actually place the greenery there. That was already there, so that's really what caught my eye for that one. This one is Gull Island. It's a spot we kind of try to frequent and camp, thanks to Spencer who gets us out there. It's got a beautiful reflecting pool here. That's the Lynn Canal just beyond the rocks there. So this is all on the island itself. I'm pretty sure it's a pretty popular otter spot, but we haven't seen otters out there yet. But yeah, we got super fortunate with that sunset and the pool. So these So these ones, when I put them in the slideshow, I didn't even realize it until I had placed them. These were both taken on my birthday 5 years apart. My birthday's in the middle of June, and so I've only snowboarded twice on my birthday. That's not actually me. I took the photo, obviously, but that's on top of Clark Peak, which is just across from Sheep. I'm sure most of you might know Bill Glued, but he used to do a summer helicopter trip up there. And I was fortunate enough to make it on one or two of those. And then, of course, a whale was graceful enough to breach for me on my birthday. Some surf scotters in front of the chill cats there. That was probably another Outer Point adventure. Another little lady that likes to visit my feeder in the backyard. That was probably just taken right outside my back door, actually. This guy was fun. He was super curious about my camera. Anytime I'd take photos, he'd kind of look at me and then hop up the log closer. It got to a point where I kind of had to back up and move over to the left to give him his space there, but he was super curious. Those guys are all over the area in the Outer Point rainforest area. This is probably one of my favorite bird in flight photos. I'm still working on those, other than eagles, because they're such big targets, they're easier to capture. But this guy, I kind of had to crawl through the rocks and wait a while for him to move for me. But I want to say that was also out on Gull Island. Thank you. Thank you. So Eagle Crest. So I'm fortunate enough to be a part of the Eagle Crest media team, shoot photos for them. Mostly I ride with Spencer there on the left. That was another image actually that was awarded Image Excellence through the Professional Photographers of America. And through preliminary judging, it was awarded top 10 in district, in the Western District, which is like all of California, Oregon, Washington, Alaska, and maybe like Montana. And my wife doing cool things. Some more Eagle Crest fun. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, pretty close. Whoop. Some more Eagle Crest. So, yeah. Spencer again on the left there. This is I want to say this is on sidelines, just kind of on the boundary between Eagle Crest and Heavenly. I want to say the left is the pump house, and then this is Bear Trap. The sad thing about this photo is that was in March. I can't remember what year it was. 2018. Thank you, Spencer. Should have known. But yeah, you can see there's not a lot of snow there. But he went for it. It was Max McVeigh who. Grom. Well, there's another Spencer up close. He's really good at those laid back. This is Eagle Crest in the summertime. This is Aspen's first time up at the top. She was having a great time romping through. And the other one is a 5-shot vertical pano, actually. I want to say each shot was probably about 6 seconds or so. And stitched together. So we spend a lot of time in Seattle. Grew up in Anchorage, and at this point it's cheaper to fly to Seattle than it is to Anchorage. And most of my family moved out of Anchorage, so we go to Seattle. We're also, my mom and I recently got Kraken season tickets, half-season tickets, so we go watch a lot of hockey. You can see this was in 2019. It's still the Key Bank. That's now the Climate Pledge arena down here. But this was taken up at Cary Park, kind of up the hill from downtown. I want to say another 3 or 5 shot panorama. Gum wall, if you've ever been there, it's kind of gross. But the light can be kind of cool in there sometimes. This is towards the end of the gum wall there, trying out some street photography. Empty Pike's Place on the left. That's kind of a rare view. And Space Needle from outside the Chihuly Glass Garden. This was the viaduct. We were there on the very last day the viaduct was open. So this turned into a huge party. They closed down the whole street. Yeah, super random. We didn't even know what the viaduct was when we were there. We showed up for a great party. So this was the next day. Of course, people had to, do dumb things, but, more birds. This was on the Kenai River. We were just kind of hanging out, and then a bunch of mergansers just start swimming by. I didn't have a lens wide enough to get the whole family. That's how close they were. But yeah, so there was, I want to say, at least a couple more babies, and they were flanked each by an adult. So it was pretty adorable. They just swam right in front of us. This guy was another one on the Kenai while we were sitting by the river. American three-toed woodpecker, which I got really excited about. A lot of the bird photos I take are for reference for myself. But then if I get something really good, obviously, then I try to share it. But usually it's just, I'm trying just to get a reference for myself, so I can just learn better. And these are examples of images I was using for reference for myself. All right, we're probably gonna end it here on our trip to Nome, which was when we got August 2022. It was an amazing trip. I would love to go back, hopefully sometime soon. I don't know if you guys have been there before, but this is kind of a ways out of town. This is the last train to nowhere, which the goal was to transfer gold from the beach inland to get onto other trains, but they didn't get very far. As you'll see in another slide a little bit shortly. A couple of red-throated loons hanging out not far from, right off the road, really. A lot of the wildlife was extremely accessible, which was incredible. This is what the weather was for us when we got there. We heard about some of the mountains. There's not that many mountains. They're not too big, but we couldn't see them when we got there. We took a drive north, and there's a lot of roads, just random four-wheel drive roads you can go drive up mountains, and some of them end at hunting cabins, so kind of be careful. But this one just went to the top of this mountain. We were hoping maybe the clouds will break up there, but no. That's what we could see. Don't know how high up we were. Don't even know what direction we're looking in. No, we weren't that high. But this was probably the coolest part about Nome. This was right off of the highway. The muskox are just right there. We had heard they were in town, and we didn't really know what that meant. And the first time we saw them, the first day we were there, they were actually grazing in someone's yard. And we're confused. I was like, is that someone's herd? Like, are they raising these muskox? But no, they were just wandering around grazing. And this is just right off the highway. Just pull over and didn't even have to get out of the car. It's incredible. Tundra swans, that was a sight. Just a whole bunch of flat, there's not really trees either. So it's just tundra, then a couple white specks. And we're like, oh, tundra swans. Can't quite tell, but it was pouring down rain. So this is out towards where the train is, also out of town. I found these dowitchers, long-billed dowitchers, and just taking a bunch of photos of them, and then going through later, this guy was completely different. It was a pectoral sandpiper. That was kind of neat. He was the only one amongst these other dowitchers. So that was pretty fun. It's kind of an example of like a fishing cabin, hunting fishing cabin. This was kind of right off the coast. These things were everywhere. This was one up in the mountains. Like I said, you kind of just drive up these roads and eventually there's a cabin there and say, okay, we'll turn around. These guys, on the left there, that was just off the road, kind of walking through the tundra, killing time, looking for anything. You can kind of see in that photo how hard it was raining. Just in front of them there, you can see some raindrops, but yeah, he was kind enough to hang out for a hot second and let me snap a photo. I have the note here. Lapland longspur. Does that sound right? Great. And the sharp-shinned hawk was the closest we can find with that guy on the right. He was on the backside of Anvil Mountain. We were just kind of driving around and he was watching us. This is another piece of the last train to nowhere. The tracks just sunk right in to the marsh there. I don't know what they were thinking, but yeah, I mean, yeah. So the last day we were there, we woke up and the sky cleared. And so this is very prominent in the background of Nome, if you've ever been there. The White Alice Towers. They were used for radio communications by the Air Force during the Cold War. Not in use anymore. You can see there's a road. So you can just drive up there and hang out. These guys were up there. This was on Anvil Mountain. That's Nome in the background there. So it was the last morning. It really cleared up for us, and we were super fortunate that we were able to find them again. And this is one of my all-time favorite photos. As we were driving up the road, they were just kind of there in the middle of the road, so we stopped and they just kind of watched us, and they let me take a couple photos of them, and we just waited for them to move. It was a younger one moving in a little closer to his family there. But that's it for me. Thank you. Anybody have any questions or anything? My last name's Lavender, and I like the mountains. That's about it.